notice a negative $2,790 trade on this. Now, I'm going to explain this. This is really interesting, and this is something that I've done member-only video lessons on. I've talked about this in a recap probably, I don't know, about 3 or 4 months ago. It's not something I do often, but I do want to share with you some of how I manage trades sometimes. So first, okay, so this is Qs. Let's go and let's just take a look at SPY. SPY was really interesting. So this morning, the pre-market area down here was a also this low, and then the previous close. So that's what we were watching, which was also pre-market highs. Now it started developing a range here. If you take a look here, there's top, 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 top. It remounts it, and then it bases again level prior to the market open. Now, once, and I want to zoom in because I do want you guys to really see here. So right at the market open, it pops up and dips back. And I said, you know, don't take this long. Watch the first pullback. This thing's probably going to rip up and push. It had that look about it. You could tell a lot with the volume and the price action. I'm not going to go into detail on that because I warned against it. I said, don't take that. And as it pops up and pulls back, as it's pulling back, now I'm looking at this level a little closer. And I'm like, why the hell is it holding that level? Well, I zoomed out, and if you remember, a couple days ago, right here on the 1st, I had a huge trade because I was working and watching this specific level later on in the day. And I was asking the question, why is it building a base? Why is it building that level where because it's not a traditional support zone. It's just in the middle of nowhere. There's just somebody's building a position. So then I realized that's the price point. And I'm like, oh shit. So I mentioned that. I went through all that on screen share live. And then as it pulls back, I ended up going long and I started working this position. Now we'll get back to SPY in a minute, okay? Because Qs was actually the first trade that we took. And Qs worked absolutely beautiful. Let me zoom out and then zoom back in. Hang tight, guys. Hang tight. Okay, so Qs opens up, pushes into the level. I start in. That's this first position here. So start in, pay myself more than green on this position. As it pops up again into the previous close, I add and pay myself. Well, add, pay myself. Now I'm still holding, and I'm holding a little bit. Now I'm watching this, and I even said right at that moment, I said, if Qs holds this little trend, and there's a little trend that it's holding because it's holding natural. Okay, something I talk about is natural movement theory, which is proprietary to Tricktrades, and I discuss this in detail with Tricktrades members. But on this, I'm also watching this little bit of a trend, and I said, if this thing holds, it's going to rip and it's going to squeeze. Sure enough, it did. Now I'm noticing all of this on Qs as well on SPY. And I'm loading in a position because I'm very confident in this. I did a mentoring live class at the beginning, January 3rd, 2023. Could even be January 3rd, 2022. I'd have to go back. I know it's been at least 2 years, and it could be possibly 3, where I was talking about there's a service owner that's been around for a long time. I'm not going to mention his name, but he considers himself and even calls himself a professional stock caller. Well, let me tell you, folks, I take issue with that because any asshole out there can be a caller, right? It's about putting your fucking money where your mouth is. And I went off on this quite a bit in chat here this morning and on screen share, discussing my thoughts about that. And I don't want to bore you guys with it. That could be a whole separate video, but you know, it's about putting skin in the game. Anybody can call these things. It's about, if you see something, take action, do it. And that's what I did on SPY. So to go back now on Qs, I was green on this position by, I think, about $1,200. And then as it squeezed, I let it squeeze. And I even told members, I'm letting this squeeze against me. I don't care. I am managing SPY because I need to pay myself on SPY because it's coming in hot. It's a big trade. So I ended up locking in a negative $2,790. Now, do I consider this a red trade? Yeah, obviously it's a red trade. It's a loss in the books, right? But For me, this is about sacrificing a smaller play for the bigger picture idea. This is what it takes. It takes extreme focus. Yes, I could have moved. People will say you can just go and stop out. And you're right, I can. But I want to load in on SPY where I would be getting out on Qs. That's an execution where I could be acquiring more size on SPY. And that's what I was doing. I want to build a massive position because I know I'm correct in my speculation of that level. So that was Qs. That's a loss on Qs. And now here is the trade on SPY. And that's that execution right here. You see my last execution? That's where I should have got out on Qs, but didn't, and was managing SPY and then paying myself dramatically on SPY. So I locked in $24,075. So I will gladly sacrifice 3 or 4 grand to make 25 grand. You understand? Like, and that's what it takes sometimes. It's not about being green on every single trade. Because sometimes red trades, if you look at them correctly and you did everything correct and you're doing what your trade plan is calling for, it's not necessarily a red trade. It's a red on the P&L, but is it a loss? I don't know. Not really. It's only a gain. It depends on how you look at things and how your mind is wired. And when you have the correct mentality about looking at this shit correctly, this is why trading is so different than everything else, because everyone, you know, outside their outside lives and their inside lives. Your outside lives out of trading is your regular 9 to 5 and how you interact on a day-to-day normal basis. That's very different. Like, people will laugh at you if you make a mistake. That's why, and it's kind of ingrained in us. It goes back to even kindergarten. When teacher asks a question, some kids get scared after a while to raise their hand because maybe they say the wrong thing. And kids laugh at them. And that all gets in our minds, and we carry that baggage along with us. Well, you can't as a day trader. It's not about being right or wrong. It's about managing what's in front of you. Full stop. That's it. That's all that fucking matters. And that's where so many people, so many traders get it wrong. And that's why they'll never become traders. They'll spin their wheels forever because they cannot wrap their head around having that proper mentality. It's a big shift to become a trader. And that's why I'm so successful, is because that's why I work at this shit. I work at seeing things correctly, how I need to see them, not how I would see them on a day-to-day basis, but how I see them in front of the charts. So locking in, you know, on SPY here, I should pull up SPY's chart one sec here. Locking in on SPY, an absolutely beautiful day, working this chart absolutely magically. Just beautiful, just working this trade all the way down, and numbers come out, or right before numbers come out, it just starts ripping faces off. Absolutely incredible. And the funny thing is here, right here, before, as this thing is panic selling down, I literally had my my crosshairs right there, and I said it's going to hold that watch. And I'm not going to go into detail on that. That one's for members, but it's part of the natural movement theory and the crystal ball effect. The crystal ball effect is something that I've talked about a lot. I have 2 products out. If you're interested, go to the Tricktrades store, go check them out. It's well worth it. It's going to be, it'll show you exactly where the stock's going to go before it happens. It gives you a literal crystal ball. It's no bullshit. It's no joke. Go check it out for yourself. It's well worth it, 100%. So when you can learn from a guy that can literally have their crosshairs right there and say, that's where it's going, don't worry about it. And I would have added on that position, but I wanted to point that out to members. I wanted to show them, hey, this is where it's going to bounce. Okay. So on that note, folks, I hope you have a wonderful evening. I'm going to rock and roll. Adios, guys.